If you're sick of being out-teamed every match, listen up. Go to IGGM.com for cheap and reliable FIFA coins, trusted by players for over 10 years, with 150,000 plus reviews on Trustpilot. Use code RETRO for 8% off and upgrade your squad today. Link in the description. Alright boys, listen. The new patch has officially dropped, and this one right here is going to separate those who adapt from those who don't. Because in all honesty, if you keep trying to play the same way you did before this update, you're going to suffer again and again. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, they just nerfed R1 dribbling. That's it. That's what they want you to think. But under the hood, there are so many small things that have changed that completely shift how the game feels. Things that were working perfectly a week ago suddenly don't click the same anymore. And I'll be real with you guys. For the past month, me and my students have been running the 4-2-3-1 wide. It was the formation. Compact, balanced, controlled, but after this patch, I am very sad to say, that formation is gone. It just doesn't work anymore. The passing lanes close up like crazy. You feel like you're suffocating every time you try to build up. And your cams don't find those nice half spaces like before. It's frustrating. So now, the new boy in town, and the formation that both me and my students will be using for the foreseeable future, is the 4-5-1. I know some of you are probably shocked right now, but hear me out. This formation is unbelievable after the patch. The biggest reason why is the midfield. It's not even close. These midfielders are so involved, it's almost weird. They're always there, always showing, always offering an option. It's like the game just opens up in front of you again. You can actually play real football now, whatever that means. It just feels smoother. You can play through the thirds, connect short passes, and move up the pitch with tempo, instead of forcing risky through balls or awkward L1 runs. What I noticed right away is that the center mids in the 4-5-1 naturally sit in perfect pockets to support the attack. You always have triangles to play around with. If you're calm and patient, you'll never feel trapped. You can recycle, you can reset, and you can build again without panicking. And this is where the game is heading now. Patience, control, and proper movement. The people who keep spamming R1, who keep forcing direct passes, they're going to struggle. They're going to feel like the game is slower or clunky. But the truth is, the game is rewarding people who think now. If you adapt early, I promise you, you're going to feel that advantage instantly. Because everyone else is still trying to play that pre-patch FIFA, while you'll be 2 steps ahead building properly with your midfield. So in this video, I'm going to go over the full setup for the 4-5-1, the custom tactics, the instructions, and how to actually move in this new meta. Because the reality is, the game has changed. You either change with it or get left behind. Now let's talk about the final third, because this is where the biggest difference is after the patch. The game right now rewards players who can think and stay patient when they get close to goal. Before, you could just 1R dribble your way through and squeeze into any gap. But that's gone. Those little burst touches are nowhere near as sharp anymore. So what happens now is, you actually have to create your own separation. You need to think 1 or 2 steps ahead. Use your movement. Use decoys. And then use skill moves properly. And I know a lot of you might have dropped skill moves completely because they didn't feel necessary before the patch. But now, they are back in business. They're not just flashy anymore. They're functional. They create space. But listen, I'm not telling you to learn 10 different skill moves overnight. I'm giving you homework. Just one. There's only one move you need to master for now. And if you add it to your game, it will completely change the way you attack. I don't even know the official name of this skill, but trust me, it's so effective, especially when you chain it with R1 dribbling like I do in this clip right here. Here's how you do it. It's right stick back twice behind your player's direction. So let's say you're attacking from left to right. That means your forward direction is to the right, so your back is to the left. So you flick the right stick left, left. Super simple. But here's the trick that makes it broken. Right after doing it, you immediately press L2 plus R2 to cancel it. This little cancel turns the move from just a spin into this clean, tight micro shift that completely freezes defenders. You can then instantly go into R1 dribbling touches or just burst into the gap that opens. Guys, I'm serious. If you actually take this one move and grind it for a few days, it'll change your attack. You'll start noticing defenders overcommit. They'll bite. They'll move the wrong way. And that's your cue to strike. So consider this your homework from me. Go into skill games. Go into rivals. And just practice that one move. Right stick back twice. cancel with L2 plus R2, and then combine with R1 dribbling. Once you get comfortable, it becomes automatic. And when it becomes automatic, that's when the game opens up for you again. You'll see those gaps. You'll feel that control. And suddenly, your attacks won't feel forced. I'm telling you, learn it, use it, and it'll transform your game. Alright guys, now let's get into some of your comments from the last video because a lot of you had some strong opinions about this patch, and I actually love reading them. So WK Watch said, I don't think this patch is it. I mean, nerf R1 dribbling sure, but not into oblivion. Buff jockeying good, but all this patch promoted our counters, first time through balls, and a deep defensive line, which makes the game way more passive again. I liked attacking football, but now it's just going to be park the bus every game. But hey, the community wanted it, so I guess that's what we do. Also, a lot of people are just ignorant because they were used to last year's game, and now they're just bad. Adjust, play, learn, and get better. Because the problem with fidget spinning wasn't R1, it's left stick dribbling. But people assume it's R1. That's why they nerfed it. Now you're absolutely right. And I respect this comment so much because it's coming from someone who actually understands the mechanics, not just reacting emotionally. The fidget spinning had nothing to do with R1 dribbling. That's exactly my point. Those are two completely different things. The R1 dribbling was about controlled micro movements and small space manipulation. The fidget spinning, on the other hand, was more of a rhythm spam. It's still in the game if you really want to do it. I still occasionally do it myself when I need to bait a tackle or buy time. The real reason people were crying about R1 wasn't because of the move itself. It was because jockeying was too slow before the patch. So defenders had to rely on R2 sprint jockeys just to avoid getting cooked. Now that they've buffed jockeying speed, everything feels different. Defenders can actually stay close, and that's what makes R1 dribbling look weaker. But here's where I'll have to disagree with you a bit, my friend. I don't think this is turning into another FC25 situation. Not at all. FC25 didn't have the meta we're seeing right now, where counterattacks, first time through balls, and quick transitions actually work because of how the midfield spacing behaves. The passing feels sharper, the animations feel cleaner, and when you build properly through the 4-5-1, the football looks real, like it actually flows. I genuinely believe the problem isn't the patch, it's the reaction. People let content creators form their opinions before they even play 5 matches themselves. That's the real issue. Everyone wants to be told how to feel about the game instead of testing it, learning it, adapting to it. And look, I get it. The community frustration is warranted to a degree. Anytime a mechanic you rely on gets nerfed, it feels personal. But here's what always happens. People lose their minds. EA sees the reaction, and then they buff it again. It's a cycle. Mark my words. The R1 dribbling will get a small buff again in the next tuning update. And when it does, guess what? People will find something else to complain about. That's just the FIFA cycle. Every single year, it's the same story. People get comfortable, something changes, and suddenly, the game is dead. But the truth is, the game isn't dead. It's evolving. And the ones who can adjust their mindset, stay patient, and actually learn the mechanics instead of reacting emotionally, those are the ones who thrive. So keep experimenting, keep thinking for yourself, and stop letting others decide how you should feel about the patch. You're all capable of understanding the game deeper than that. Now, my boy at Schwarzschild M asked a really good question. He said, there are a lot of times that the through ball is not going. It gets intercepted a lot, even with R1 and double triangle /X. What could be the cause? To answer this question, it's simple, my bro. You're too focused on finding the pass instead of selling the idea of the pass. See, what most players don't realize when they trigger runs is the concept of the dummy run. The dummy concept is basically this. You trigger a run, not because you want to pass there, but because you want to move defenders and create a reaction. You're shifting their shape intentionally. So let's say, for example, you play from your left back to your CDM, and you trigger your left winger with L1. Most players immediately look to send a through ball there, but the real target isn't always that initial winger. The true goal is to manipulate your opponent's defensive line. When you trigger that winger, your opponent's fullback starts to track him. That movement alone opens up a completely new passing lane. Now imagine while that's happening, you trigger your striker at the same time, or even the opposite winger. Suddenly, your opponent is in a panic. They're chasing the wrong run. They think you're going one direction, but you're actually preparing to switch or play centrally into the striker's feet. That's the dummy effect, making one movement to create another. It's football IQ. Most people think triggering is just pressing L1 for a player to move, but at the top level, it's about how you layer those triggers. You're not reacting to space, you're creating it. That's the difference between an average player and an advanced one. So next time you notice your true balls are getting intercepted, don't think, oh, the game's broken. Think, how can I bait him into thinking I'm going left when I'm really going right? Try this in your next few matches. Trigger your winger like normal. Wait a second. Instead of forcing that ball, switch your play inside to your striker. Notice how much space opens up the moment your opponent overreacts. That's how pros manipulate the AI defensive line. It's all about selling the idea of the pass, not forcing it. Trust me, once you start mastering dummy runs, you'll begin seeing the entire field differently. You'll realize half the battle isn't about your mechanics, it's about your intent. Or just like my student Hunter, you can try the 4-5-1. Hunter's a player I coached last year. Sharp, quick to learn, always listening. He understands ideas fast, but when FC26 dropped, he was clearly uncomfortable. The rhythm of the game had changed. In our session this year, I introduced him to the 4-2-3-1 because I wanted him to get back into that structured, patient build-up. And to be fair, it worked. He scored a beautiful goal using the exact concept we'd practiced. Trigger, recycle, and play the killer pass. It was textbook. But then mid-match, his opponent switched tactics, maybe even passed the controller to his older brother, and suddenly everything flipped. Hunter started suffocating. He couldn't find his CAM. Every lane from the back was blocked, and every attempt to pass out of his half got intercepted. You could feel the frustration. At that moment, I knew exactly what the issue was. It wasn't Hunter, it was the formation. The 4-2-3-1 had become too tight under the new patch. His CDMS were sitting too deep, leaving no natural outlets between the lines. So I told him confidently, switch to the 4-5-1 right now. And the difference was instant. Once we moved him into the 4-5-1, those same CDMs became central midfielders. And that completely changed everything. They started showing for the ball, linking play, and giving him multiple options instead of just one static outlet. Suddenly, he wasn't trapped anymore. The game opened up. He could breathe, move, and build properly again. The ball started gliding through the midfield. Hunter was triggering runs, resetting with ease, and controlling tempo, all because that extra layer of support in midfield created real passing lanes. That's why I keep saying the 4-5-1 is built for this patch. It naturally fixes the biggest pain point players are having right now, not being able to play out from the back. The shape gives you fluid movement, stability, and options everywhere. So shout out to Hunter, because that game was the perfect reminder that the right formation doesn't just change your shape, it changes your entire mindset. Once his CDMS stepped higher and became true CMS, the whole game transformed. Now let me tell you what you can learn from that. Hunter's story isn't just about switching formations. It's about understanding why something stops working and having the awareness to adapt before it's too late. A lot of players right now are frustrated. They're forcing what used to work, expecting the same results, and then wondering why the game suddenly feels slower or why their players feel heavy. But here's the truth. It's not always the patch. Sometimes it's your structure. What Hunter did right was simple. He listened, he trusted the process, and he was willing to adjust. When the 4-2-3-1 stopped giving him passing options, I had him switch to the 4-5-1, and instantly his entire game opened up. He found rhythm again, control again, and most importantly, confidence again. But that doesn't mean the 4-2-3-1 is dead, because I've got other students, like Arvind and Wolf, who have absolutely shined post-patch with that same formation. They're proof that this isn't a one-size-fits-all game. The truth is, it depends on your play style. Hunter needed that extra midfielder support the 4-5-1 provides because of the way he builds from the back. But Arvind and Wolf, they're more direct. They like to play fast, break lines early, and for them, the 4-2-3-1 still fits perfectly. So the key lesson here is this. Don't just copy tactics, understand them. If something feels off, analyze it. Don't panic, don't complain, figure out why. Because most of the time, it's not your mechanics holding you back, it's your setup. And obviously, I knew what Hunter needed because I had sat down with him and gave him my undivided attention. That's the power of proper one-on-one coaching. You see things that players can't always see themselves. So if you're watching this and you want that same level of attention, consider booking a one-on-one coaching session with me. You can find the links down in the description or in the pinned comment below. And guys, don't forget, if you need coins to build your dream team, make sure you check out my partners over at IGGM. They've got over 150,000 reviews on Trustpilot and have been around for over 10 years, so you already know they're reliable and safe. For cheap and fast coins, head over to their site and use code RETRO for 8% off your entire order. Because let's be honest, there's nothing worse than trying to test new tactics when your squad can't keep up. So get the players you actually need, build your team properly, and start playing football the way it's meant to be played. As always, boys, thank you so much for the love and support. Stay focused, adapt to the patch, and remember, the game rewards patience, intelligence, and discipline. I'll see you all in the next video. Please comment below.